Greetings, this is Dr. Sheila Witherspoon, and this is my instructional design model evaluation presentation. So a little history on ADDIE. ADDIE was created in 1975 with the United States Army in conjunction with Florida State University for the purposes of training. In 1980, they took the ADDIE model and extended it to more so the organizational needs versus just training needs of a particular area. 1997, it was more plug and play in terms of being able to take aspects of ADDIE and apply it to either courses or to organizational needs. And 2002 and beyond, it is used now in a variety of ways that just doesn't relate to course development or organizational needs. So the steps for ADDIE are analysis, which is kind of the who, what, where, when, and why of the course or the training, the actual design, what will go in the learning management system, will there be discussion topics, will there be videos, where will they be placed, how to develop that in terms of what type of information goes into a course or to a training, then actually implementing it, having the LMS ready to go when your learners are starting the training, and then evaluating and providing that feedback, what went well, what didn't go well, what should we add, what should we eliminate, and most importantly, did the course actually align to provide the learning outcomes for your learners, and what mechanisms, both formative and summative, to use to get to those steps. So the context for ADDIE, it can be used in educational programs as well as corporate activities. As we talked a little bit earlier about the history, at first it started out more so with training, but then moved its way out to organizational aspects and looking at the entire picture. So you can use them in educational programs, be it academic programs online or courses online, as well as corporate activities in their training, both formative and summative. So what are some of the strengths? Some of the strengths of ADDIE are it's a streamlined process to develop online courses. So essentially, you know exactly what to do in terms of the analysis stage, the design stage, the development stage, the implementation stage, and the evaluation stage, and you're getting continuous feedback along the way. Thus, some limitations, which are if one thing goes wrong, if there's one flaw, it's going to affect the entire result. So it's very important to think about, basically you'd have to be almost perfect in your design because one aspect of that design can throw the entire course or the program off. And less dynamic. In other words, there's really not a lot of room for flexibility. So those are some of the strengths and limitations of the ADDIE model. So I decided to compare it with the successive approximation model, better known as SAM. This was designed by Michael Allen, and he found a way to provide an immediate, effective, and efficient way of looking at course development where it's not so static with ADDIE. So you have smaller, more flexible steps within a larger framework, so a little bit more chunking, a little bit more scaffolding to see if, or essentially once you put that course together, you're not having to worry about it falling in line as much more. So then, okay, if we find a small piece and the small piece works well, we can build all the small pieces. So by the time we get to within that larger framework, we know that we have a good product in the form of online training or online course. So here's some of the steps for SAM. First, starting with the preparation phase. So you're getting information, background information about the training. What does the organization need? What does the course need? What does the program need? And just essentially gathering data and prepping to prepare the course. And then you have the iterative design phase. Again, we go in small bits when we talk about SAM. So savvy start, project planning, additional design. As you notice, it's more of a cycle. So you'll be coming up basically with a design, a prototype, and review. So it's continuous in its review, continuous in its feedback. So you're getting the best product you can at that time. Then you have the iterative development phase. So you'll take that information, you go from the background, you'll take that information, you get the best possible product and get over to the development phase where it's developed, implemented, and evaluated. And again, you notice it's a cycle. So that feedback and the evaluation and assessment of all the parts are continuously being evaluated. And once you get all of it together in its best form, you get over to the rollout phase. And if you notice, there's design proof, alpha, beta, and then gold. So getting it to its best self, if you will. So the context of the SAM model is both online training and online courses. So again, being able to gain all the information you can, all the feedback you can, going over it, cutting and pasting to get us to its best possible rollout in online training and online courses. So as with Addie here, the strengths and the limitations. It's very flexible. So as we notice the cycles in the SAM model as opposed to the Addie model, you had opportunities to go through those cycles over and over again to improve it. A variety of experiences that come to the table. It's a very collaborative process, so you might have several subject matter experts. You might have persons that are experienced with media design or what have you. So you have all these different experiences together at the table. So you have all these different ideas and ways in which to come up with the best possible product. Iterations, it's in small steps. So we talked about that scaffolding. So we have small steps here and we get that perfected. Chances are the other parts of the course or the other parts of a program or training program will be at its perfected state. Which brings us to project managed. So at every turn, we know exactly what's happening. We know what to do from a collaborative standpoint, people working together, teamwork, and then coming to a decision as to what's its best possible deliverable and moving forward until you come together with a perfected product. And so again, talking about collaboration, those are some of the strengths. And some of the limitations are thinking about the idea that mistakes are inevitable. Yes, they're going to make mistakes. There's going to be different points of view, particularly if you have a group of experts, if you will. So while there may be some consensus, there might be some varieties of consensus, and that could lead to those mistakes. As it talks about the collaboration needing to be managed so there's cohesiveness. So you can collaborate and everybody can have a variety of experiences in terms of what they believe its most perfected state is of an online course or online program, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the product itself is going to be cohesive. Of course, that's going to create an opportunity for mistakes to be made. When it comes down to comparison, the contrast of the two, I do like Addie because of its kind of linear logical nature, so you know what to do at what point. I also like SAM because of the flexibility. And over the years that I've taught online courses and I've had to, be a quote unquote instructional designer, one of the disadvantages is not being able to really sit down and look at how well the course works, because the next thing you know, you have to prep for the next semester's course. And so having this opportunity to look at two instructional design models, I do like the logical manner in which Addie is set up, but I can sometimes use those small points and scaffolding that SAM offers. So if I'm looking at one module and I want my students to be able to take that information and be able to connect it throughout the semester, by the time I get to the end of the semester, I'll have a better sense of where the learning objectives and the learning outcomes were reached, and then having that feedback and data to move forward to create that course once again in the following semester. So here are some of the people that I referenced and some of the information. Hopefully this is helpful. And again, this is Dr. Sheila Witherspoon, and thank you for listening.